There we go. We are on. We are back on the internet. What's going on, everybody? PincheAls here, and we're ready to finish up the VR. I'm just getting us all set up here for live in living color. Do what you wanna do in live color. There you go. But as promised, we are here live. What's going on, Johnny boy? What's up? What's up? What's up? We're live, and we're here gonna finish up the VR finally. So for everybody tuning in, what's up? We got the VR6 all fully built, done. Now is to get all the exterior parts onto it, like the crank pulley here, and then we're gonna get the water pump, the alternator, the whole accessory bracket, and then the oil cooler, and then the oil filter housing is gonna be put on, and then the intake manifold. So sit down, relax, and let's chit chat and see what's going on, you know? So I'm going to pick up a chair because my foot's been hurting pretty bad today. So bear with me, please. So what I'm going to try to do is kind of, hopefully that works for everybody. So we do have a bunch of parts that we need to explain what's going on. So this is the crank pulley, aka the harmonic balancer. This is not a fluid dampener, I believe. No, it is. It is fluid dampened. So this does dampen in the vibration of the rotation of your engine. So yes, Omar, we're gonna work on it. We're actually gonna finish it off. We're gonna be putting the water pump, alternator, power steering pump, AC compressor, the bracket, the tensioner, the belt, intake manifold, lower and upper. So show you guys how it looks fully assembled. So there's only two parts that are missing, and because we got new ones coming in, it's just they didn't get here in time. But it is the main water pipe is what we call the crack pipe. This guy right here. You know? You guys can see that. This is what we call the crack pipe. And for you guys as you can see, there's a reason for it. And then this is called the thermostat housing here. And then on this side is the coolant flange. Previous owner, holy hell, loved RTV. I mean, so much that they put a lot in there. I mean, a lot. So that's like a big no-no, guys, when installing plastic components on a Volkswagen, especially in a VR or a 1.8T. RTV is like the biggest no-no on these engines because they will just leak no matter what. So don't use it. No problem, Matt Spool. See you next time, buddy. So that pipe actually goes in right here on the water pump outlet, and just goes across on the back side of the engine. Or yeah, this is the back of the engine, this is the front. See, Johnny boy, yo, you and your family, especially your mom, we're doing good, man. Yeah, we're all doing good. I just got tested for COVID and I came out negative, so I'm pretty happy with that. But who knows? It's getting worse out there, so we'll see. So first things first, we're going to be putting the water pump in. Let's see here. This doesn't belong to this pump. Here it is. Like, what the hell? I forgot they don't use a normal gasket. They use an O-ring. I'm tripping. Alright. So a water pump. We gave it a nice coat of black paint on the face of it. You guys can see that. It looks really good. Damn. Juan, that sucks, dude. Sorry to hear that, man. It's not. I heard it's not a fun thing to be on. So, water pump. Get well soon, though, by the way. Get well soon. Now, there is a specific orientation. The water pump only bolts on one way. These 3 holes will only line up in one way, no other way. Promise you guys that 100%. It will not go on any other way. So, it's got an O-ring inside it. So, there's no need for any RTV on this because the O-ring is what prevents the coolant from leaking. If you guys want to, I'll take it back out. Now, on these guys, you can, if you want to, I just don't recommend it very much, but you can slap the tiniest, like just super thin layer of RTV, what we call water pump sealant RTV on the outside of this. It's allowed, okay guys? So, and it's very minimal. So, and what I mean by minimal, it's like you put it like thinner than a piece of sheet of paper and then put it on there and then just put it in. So, thanks, Landon. Yeah, buddy. Thank you, buddy, man. Appreciate the $5 donation. So, Landon just hooked it up. Whoop, 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 whoop. So, right over here, hopefully my big fat head's not in the way. There we go. So, as you can see right here, the water pump. This is what we call water pump thermostat housing gasket maker. Again, the thinnest amount possible can be put on here, and only on the pump itself. And what I mean by like thinnest, I'll show you guys what I mean by the thinnest amount possible, because you don't need much of anything or any at all. So, RTV again, you don't use like black RTV, you use gray RTV, and we call it water pump RTV. It's very, very minimal, and I'll show you guys an example of what I mean by minimal. Again, the O-ring does the job. It does a really good job for sealing. So when I put RTV on these, I do it for one main reason. On used blocks, what people don't realize is the O-ring sits right here inside this used portion, and the problem is it's rusted, and it's been rusted for a long time. The factory O-ring is supposed to mate to a super flat surface. So anybody who uses proper coolant, G12 coolant, will know that there's usually 0 to very little rust inside their water pump location. So on blocks that have a ton of rust, like this guy right here, he's got a decent sizable amount of rust inside there. So as preventative measure, again, this is not a guaranteed fix. It's just preventative measure. We put a paper thin layer of RTV on the machine surface of the water pump. And I'll show you guys what it looks like in just a moment. All right. So here you guys are. And you'll see right here where I put the RTV on. And you can see how super thin it is. Okay? And again, the only reason why I put RTV is strictly because this is not a really good flat surface not flat surface, but machine surface that the O-ring is going to be seating on. So it's just again, preventative measure for the install here. Now there's 3 bolts that go here. One right here. One right here. One right here. Now these guys are a little on the rusty side. I might have to clean them up in a little bit. But I want to show you guys how everything goes in here first. Now what we're going to do is put these on snug. Do not torque these down yet. So we want them all the way to hit the bottom first. And then once they hit the bottom, we'll show you guys, give you guys torque specs on these. Alright, that's the bottom. There's 3 pulleys. There's 2 pulleys that come apart on every VR. That you have to take them off just during disassembly and reassembly of the engine. There's a water pump, and then there's the, what is it called? The water pump and power steering. Okay, so water pump is the smooth pump. Smooth pulley. The power steering is going to be the weird one with the grooves on it. So the water pump one goes on like so. Alright. Power steering sits here. But you cannot put this pulley on until you get these 3 bolts torqued to spec. What's really cool about the water pump, if you ever have to remove a water pump on a VR6, they have these 3 holes in here, and I'll show you. Where are they? There we go. There's 3 holes on the actual pump itself that line up the 3 bolts to remove the water pump. So technically, you don't have to remove the pulley to remove the water pump. However, if you're replacing the water pump, you're better off just removing the pulley than unbolting it. Makes life, I kid you not, 20 times better. I don't know why they did that. They kind of thought like, hey, I'm just going to pull this pulley off and then do service on it. When you pull the water pump off, it's actually easier to pull the pulley off than the pump. But hey, who am I to say what goes where, you know? I'm not going to be that guy. Next is the tensioner, which is this guy right here that sits these 3 right here. These 3 are for the belt tensioner, which I got right here, and I took apart. Yeah, that's also correct, Luis. Metal impeller versus plastic. They're kind of both the same, honestly. I'm not a big fan of either or. I really don't care about plastic or metal. Honestly, I haven't seen much difference in either plastic or metal. Oh, here it is. This is where it bolts onto. Ay, ay, ay. Goes there. I can't remember how it goes there. Because there it lines up perfectly, and that's where the bolts are. But, ay, ay, ay. Yeah, it goes here. Here it goes. Yep, there it is. See, I knew I was going to find the orientation correctly. Let's see. So here we go here now. We got this portion all nicely and beautifully lined up. Now remember, everything I'm doing, I'm putting in by hand first. I never do anything. Whoa, saved. I never like putting things on with a torque wrench or a ratchet first. Just because I gotta get a feel for everything. And the pulley is just off of here. And what's really cool, the pulley on this is reverse threaded. So lefty is tighty, righty is loosey. Just like that. So now we have excess tensioner, water pump, and crank. Pretty straightforward. Water pump has these weird, funky Allen bolts. They're kind of like curved Allen heads. And they're exact. And they align pretty much the pulley to be balanced correctly. So remember that. Don't lose your stuff, guys. A lot of this hardware is very hard to get a hold of nowadays, especially on these old motors. We got that all going. Now is the bracket that goes right here. We'll get that going in just a second. Read some comments. No, I mean the pulley, they all can go. Again, I don't know what pulley you're talking about, but everything's going on. The belt tensioner pulley is already it's already pretty tensioned for belt installation, so it's not going to be that hard. It's got a little bolt here to move the pulley up and down before I get it all ready to get tightened. So the next thing is the bracket. And let's see here. Here's the bracket hardware. Now the bracket, we're gonna there we go. So you guys can see that. So the bracket lines up here. Back to the crack pipe. This guy goes in here, and then this coolant garbage thing goes up here like that. That's how this mounts. And then you have your oil cooler lines that feed up through here. You have some other spots. I'll explain some other stuff down the road. Right here is where your SAI pump goes, or your combi valve. That's going to be blocked off for us. We're no longer going to be using that. This whole engine is going to be, pretty much we're going to be putting it in a shaved engine bay. So I'm trying to get rid of as much of stuff possible that we do not need to mount this engine. On the oil cooler, so a lot of us guys are 1.8T guys, and oil cooler is on the right, oil housing is on the left. And while you guys are watching, just so you guys know, when you have this set up on the VR, there's an O-ring on the top portion, all right guys, and there's an O-ring on the bottom. So the VRSMEXYs have dual gaskets pretty much for the oil cooler. And if you didn't lose the little plastic bracket that sits on the housing, it actually has an alignment tab here to tell you how the oil cooler is supposed to sit for you guys when mounting. So this is the orientation and how it's supposed to sit pretty much in the car by factory. So next thing is the bracket, and this guy is next. What's up, what's up? Right, Luis? I agree. So this bracket is almost identical to the 1.8T bracket for mounting all your accessories. There's a couple little spacing differences because obviously the block is different, but they're almost identical. And you'll see here, just like that. And then it's going to mount the alternator, power, AC, and power steering right there. So there's a couple of them that are weird. Now there's this one that's, how can I explain, no, where does this one go? Okay, that one goes there. There's two of them that are really weird, so they are not like the rest. That's odd. That goes there. That goes there. There it goes. That's right. Okay. So there's two bolts. Again, they're not the same as the other ones. There's one that has like these weird machine surfaces. One goes on the bottom left corner. The other one goes on the upper right corner. And they're there, I think, for alignment purposes. I'm not 100% sure what they're there for, but that's my guess. And then get your trusty Allen wrench. And everything goes down by hand first, as always. Okay, so this is the shorter one. This is where the longer one goes. This is where the shorter one goes. There's one long one, just so you guys know. It's longer than all the other ones, and that's the one that goes right here. All right, so bracket is installed. Not torque to spec yet, but we're gonna torque that in just a minute. But again, give you guys a rundown. This guy and this guy are two different bolts than everybody else. They are the most goofy lookiest ones. They have a machine surface and then it's threaded. There's one longer than all of them, and that goes here. And then the rest of them are all the same in size. Really weird because the 1.8Ts, the bracket, all of them are the same size bolt all the way across. You can mix and match them all you want. It's just the VR is a little different than the other ones. Just to give you guys a heads up on that, all right? Let's see here. Give you guys. There we go. A little bit better view. Okay, so that's all done. We're gonna get that torque to spec. Let me look up. Let me look up the torque specs for all that, and then we're gonna get the rest of the stuff mounted. Gonna pull out the Holy Bible. Yeah, the oil cap really sets off the top of the engine. Wait till you see, guys, the manifold on this thing, dude. I spent some decent amount of time freaking cleaning up the manifold and painting it. I'm pretty happy. Honestly, I'm really, really happy with the end results on the intake manifold. Actually, I'm really happy with this overall build, honestly. It's been very nice. $18 foot-pounds for that bracket. Just so you guys know, these bolts are set at 18 foot-pounds. Not the right size. All right. That's weird. This isn't long enough. Oh, that's why. That's weird. Yeah, this one isn't long enough. Okay. Where do we go wrong? Which bolt did we go wrong with? One of these bolts is different. No, that one's too short. What is going on here? What are you? Doesn't belong there. What's going on here? I know I'm excited for the other engine as well, guys. Let's see here. I'm just going through my Bentley manual. Give me a second here, guys. It's not long enough. It's weird. This one fits perfectly fine. All right, 18 foot-pounds. There we go. All right. Okay. So next part is alternator, compressor, power steering. Doesn't matter what order you do it in, just do it. You guys, I didn't win in a contest. I bought it. I paid money for this sweater. I love this sweater. Alright, so alternators first. So tensioner has to come off to install the alternator. Good thing again, everything's hand tightened. None of this stuff is torqued to spec, so that way you get it done quickly. Alternator's on. Next one is AC compressor. Now the compressor is strictly there to be a pulley. No other job. So this has no real purpose besides being here. There is a shorter belt we can get to make it work, but we just want to show you guys for reference sake what goes where. You guys can go and change your belt out by all means. Get my mallet. Okay. Almost there. Here, come on, little guy. There we go. And then slide this sucker up, and then you have to like wail on it. Good thing I used a rubber mallet. If not, this thing would be destroyed. And there it is. That's all she wrote. Oh, damn, that's crazy, Bowman. That's crazy. Crazy talk. Yeah, good thing I can care less about takeovers, so I hope the police actually stop those guys and teach them a freaking lesson about takeovers. Because they ruin it for everyone. So I'm glad that they're out there doing their jobs, trying to stop something that's super stupid. This looks like a 16. Let's see here. Yep, 16. So the alternator is held together with a 13, and the AC compressor is held together with a 16. Now, the power steering pump is one of the funkier ones, just so you guys know. Let's see here. The power steering one has multiple bolts, way more than just the two that hold the alternator or the AC. So, power steering pump, it's got a total of 5 bolts just to hold the pump itself. It's super weird, and they're all 13s. So, here's our power steering pump, and it orients like this, guys, just so you guys know. The orientation is up and at a kind of funky angle. Come on. There you go. So there's 2 long ones and 3 short ones. The short ones are for here, for this guy, this guy, and this one. Okay, the 2 long ones, these guys are a little bit longer by like a 1/4 inch. They're for the back. So remember that, guys, that 3 short ones in the front, 2 long ones in the back. They're there for a reason. Remember to put that back like that. It's crazy how like VRs have a lot more pulleys than a 1.8T. So you can see where you lose a lot of power on a VR in comparison to a 1.8T just by sheer rotation. So mounted. Well, this isn't torque to spec yet. None of these actually are torque to spec, but I just want to show you guys. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. Beautiful, beautiful. And then just put the other pulley. This guy goes back down here. It's got 3 bolts that I gotta find. No, these aren't it. They're too long. 3 short ones. Where'd you guys go? Yeah, missing 3 short power steering pulley bolts. I'm gonna have to probably make them if I can't find them. Not hard, but. Nope, those are not it. Ay, ay, ay. It might be in my other box. Right here. Here they are. No, this is why we bag everything, Tiny. This is why we bag everything and label everything where it belongs. So, when I need to find something, I can find it. This guy. That's why we delete it. Now I don't have a new belt, but I'm gonna use the belt I have right now just for demonstration purposes, so you guys can see the routing for the serpentine belt. But I'm not gonna be using this belt as for actual use. This belt is done. It has not seen better days, that's for sure. So these three holes right here are actually for the motor mount bracket, just so you guys know. Okay. So now belt, the way that you feed the belt in here, so you go down, over, I believe over and under and over. I'll confirm that again, but I believe that's the routing. It's such a huge mess. Running without a belt. You guys. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. So it goes. Yeah, so it goes down, over, across, down this way and under. Yep. Jeez. Let's see here. Here's the old one. Let's see if I can get it out. You have to run a bolt through it so you can get it out. Yeah, so right now, I gotta manually tension this guy. So I can get the belt out like that. Not that bad. Okay. So you guys can see how I'm routing this. Now, if you always don't do it from the bottom, try to get it where the alternator is at. That's usually your best bet. By the alternator. Now, you guys can see it's like an inch somewhere missing here. The belt got caught on that. There it is. Now we're good. So it sucks about these belts, especially on VR. It's such a tight fit. So let's see if this makes my life a little bit easier. So no. This might be a belt too short. So we might have to do some more tensioning down so we can get it to come out. And there we go. So I want to see if I can slide it over without the belt. I mean with the belt on. Again, this is my first time ever doing a VR belt. And these are annoying. I already see why you guys wouldn't want to do this. So I gotta break it loose again. The tensioner. So the belt can actually go under. There we go. And then tighten the tensioner so the belt can go over. It's really a matter of where do I want to slap it on, does it? I hate this. I hate this very much. Oh. It's not supposed to show that info. What the heck? That's weird. Okay, Tiny, let me try that. Yeah, because this is really annoying. This is like super annoying. Okay, we're almost there. Like, I'm running out of tensioning. Like, jeez, guys. This should not be this hard. Honestly. This is really annoying. Honestly, I think this is probably not the right size belt. Or it's the right size belt, if you guys get what I mean. Nope, that's tensioning. That's not tensioning. That's it. I don't have any more. Come on, little buddy. Come on. Oh my gosh. This should not be this hard, guys. I'm being effing honest. This should not be this hard. Seriously. Water pump. Alright, we'll break that one loose too. Let's see. Come on. The only thing I can think of is the belt might be bad. Again, this is an old belt. This is probably a 10-year-old belt. It might have shrank. Because this should not be this hard. Because, yeah, keep in mind, it's going to put tension on it. So the amount of slack is going to be like near to nothing. And that's not right. Because I can see all of this tensioning. It's kind of ridiculous. Oh my goodness. I am struggling way too hard for this, honestly. Okay, there's some slack there. Haha. That did it. That's what did it. Jeez. So breaking loose the pump, the water pump pulley, power steering pulley, and then the tensioner pulley got it to the point where I can actually use it. So what did we learn today, kids? VR6 belts suck. That's what we learned today. Just so you guys know. No, that's not it. Alright, so that's done. Cut and zip tie it. Yep, that's what I would have done. Proper fix. No, there's probably something wrong with this belt. It's probably the wrong belt, honestly. Because you shouldn't have to do that. But again, this is just for example. We're not trying to actually use this belt at all. So I'm just pre-warning you guys, this is just a sample. I'm going to take the tension off of this. Just for you guys can see that we know that the belt is on and secured. Again, the way that the belt routes, you have to use this little bolt that sits on top of the tensioner to tension and detension pretty much everything. For this scenario, I think this is the wrong belt. I could be very, very wrong, but as it sits, that's how I feel right now. So, yeah. But it's working. So that's all that matters, is that it did get it on. I am going to get a new belt for it, a brand new belt. I'm going to get everything torqued to spec, but that's it. So again, as the belt routes, we go over the water pump, over the crank, under the power steering pulley, around the AC compressor, and back over to the alternator. That is your routing process. Yes, that belt is grooved on both sides. That is correct. They have to be grooved on both sides because of the way that this belt is, that these pulleys are designed, since you're going to have to grab something on either side. So honestly, once we get rid of the compressor, we're going to be going straight down. So that should solve a lot of the problems once we get the proper belt that goes straight down here to get rid of the AC compressor. So now that's done. We're going to turn the block this way. So you guys can see the back of the engine. So this is the exhaust side. There's a bracket that goes from left to right that uses 2 bolts here. These 2 bolts hold this bracket in place. And this bracket is strictly for holding the intake manifold on the engine. So what we have to do first is install our intake right here. Sorry guys on Instagram, but peace out. Battery just died. Alright, give me just a second guys. I gotta plug in the phone really quick. Let's see here. The battery died over here. I think it's a bigger battery. Okay. So there's 2 pieces to your intake manifold. You have a lower manifold and the upper. The lower manifold right here consists of pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gaskets, 2 being different. So you'll see there's 2 different style gaskets. One that are pretty much oval shape and one that are round. And you can see that they alternate between each other. Right there. So Luis, as the awesome person he is, got us all the gaskets for his VR6. Let me make sure I have them all. I gotta count them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be number 6 somewhere on here. And 6. All right. So there's 6 for the lower. And there's a big set for the upper that we're going to have to get in a little bit. So, as always, we use Victor Wren's gaskets because they're amazing. They're good stuff. And like you guys said, I should be sponsored by them, but I'm not. Not sponsored by anybody. Sponsored by myself and my hard work. These suck. These. Come on. There we go. Just gotta yank on that sucker. Let me see if I get some smaller tweezers and maybe just yank them out, because they're not coming out. What a spick? Yes and no. They kind of are interchangeable to a point, but not 100%. Some of them might freak out on you. Even if you have the IMMO deleted on there or the immobilizer removed. For from what I've had experience-wise, it's actually been hit or miss. Sometimes you're gonna have to have someone code it out for you, so you can actually use it in your car. Sometimes I've seen where they just plug and play, and as long as you have the immobilizer deleted, it'll work. Three. There we go. So all gaskets removed, finally. So we're going to open up all these little packages really quick. So I ordered some fuel injectors, new fuel line for it, for this motor for Luis. Also, I'm gonna order the upper gaskets for the manifold, because we're gonna need them no matter what. So we'll get that taken care of as well. So there's no up or down to the gasket. It's literally just or O-ring. I don't even know what you guys should call these. It's like an O-ring, but it's not an O-ring. So and what happens over time with these guys, when you have them on here for a long time, they get flatter, and that's why they start leaking. Right here, you'll see they have a nice fat, like a nice little lip on here. The ones that are in there were pretty much flat, or pretty much a identical surface to the factory lower manifold, and that's bad because you're going to have a vacuum leak eventually. Again, if you don't have a leak, you don't remove it. Pretty simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this manifold might have been broken. We don't know. I don't want to find out, you know, when I get this car all done and put back into the engine all done and put it back in the car. I'd rather be safe than sorry, so that's why I'm replacing everything. Or Luis and I are replacing everything on this. And all I'm doing is pushing the O-ring in. They have these little nubs on them to pretty much keep the gasket in place. Come on, little guy. Give me a headache right now. There we go. Last one. So as a favor for Luis, well, he didn't ask for it, but for me, my personal preference is I like everything to be clean. I like everything to be shiny. So when I present a nice fresh build to the world, it looks really good. So I cleaned pretty much the lower portion of the manifold as well as I could. This guy goes in like this. Now, there's a really tight fit down there below for a bolt. So we're going to not bolt it all in place because we still have a couple more parts to go in. So I'm not going to install the manifold 100%, guys, because I can't, not yet. I still have a fuel injector to install. I still have a fuel rail to install. But I want you guys to see the actual process on how to do it. So Yeah, I think it's the wrong length belt, honestly, and that's okay because I already got a new belt for it, so I'm not super concerned about it. But more than likely is the wrong length belt. So if you guys are keeping everything factory, there's a bracket right underneath here that holds everything underneath the manifold, the PCV system, the SAI, and all that. We're not doing that. So unfortunately, that part of the car you're not going to see, because we're not putting that in. All I'm doing right now is only installing the upper bolts, and I'm not going to even torque it to spec. I'm just going to make sure it just seats all the way nice and flush, but not too tight. So what you're supposed to do is all the bolts hand tighten first, and then when you guys actually do it, as any other new gasket you're going to put in, you're going to do them from in to out as a proper procedure, and then from in to out you're going to torque them to spec, which on the manifold I don't have this torque specs on this portion right now, but again, there's a ton of bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in total, right, guys? That hold the lower portion. You still have the upper, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more bolts on top of that. And then this is what you guys came to see. I'll move you guys back a little bit. Let's see if I can get this camera to hold nicely. There you go. So now we have this, and this beautifully redone 12 valve Mark IV manifold. I'm still not done with it. I got a couple other little special things I'm going to do for Luis on here that I haven't told him what. So now there's some alignment pins on here, guys, just so you guys know, on the manifold itself. So if it doesn't sit right, there's these little tiny pinholes, 1 and 2, that use to line up the manifold correctly as you seat it. That's like that. There you go. Nope. There we go. Now that bracket that we talked about on the exhaust side has 2 more bolts that hold the manifold in its proper orientation. Come on. It's probably because these 2 aren't lined up. Let's get those going really quick. I'm going to put 3 bolts in here just for, because the manifold is sticking out just a bit too much because it's not pushed down. that should line us up on the sides now. Yep. Come on, little guy. I'm not going to force you in right now. But I don't want to force it in. I'm going to have to figure out why we're off by, like, not even kidding you, probably 0.5 millimeter over here. I just put it on 2 hours before we started, just to see that it fits. And yeah, it fit perfectly, but I don't know what's going on. But there you guys have it. Beautiful, beautiful 12 valve VR6, all done, ready to be bolted in. So, greasy handprint. So all this right here, back here, if that's your question, this is like the vacuum portion of the manifold. Everything before the throttle body, so over here is where the throttle body bolts onto. Over here before there's no vacuum. You can't make vacuum on this side because there's no high pressure. It's all low pressure, and then this is where all the high pressure comes in. This is where you get your vacuum, so your brake booster, your manifold, throttle body, and anything that requires vacuum runs off of these hoses back here. Now, there's only a couple hoses that we're going to manipulate because, again, we're deleting more than half of the stuff on this engine. So to keep it looking the way it looks, we're going to have to, plain and simple. So that's it for today's DIY, or live DIY for you guys. But I think it came out really good. I'm pretty happy with my very first VR6 build. And it actually, not even for me. It's for one of our Patreon members, by the way. We're going to be, again, for you guys, there's a lot of stuff we're going to delete. We're going to add a catch can system. We're going to add a bunch of other stuff that's going to be made up for the Patreon car. This is Luis's engine. The other VR6 is back here that we're going to build, but we're going to build a high compression engine. But yeah, it looks really, really good. I'm impressed the way this engine came out. Super, super impressed. I'm impressed that I was actually able to do it. But I always doubt myself in a lot of stuff. I'm just like that. But yeah, it's beautiful, guys. It's beautiful. It needs a couple little pieces here and there that are polished, but that's pretty much it. So, yeah. Yeah, we're only missing like 2-3 hoses over here. The plug for the SAI. Figure out the vacuum system for it after we get it in the car. New clutch and flywheel. I don't know what else. We'll figure it out down the road. But yeah, this is exciting, guys. Super, super exciting that we got this engine finally all done up. Yeah, this is part of a vacuum. We gotta get this, whatever this vacuum line goes to. Probably goes to that. That opens up on the throttle. It's kind of like a flapper mod. But I'm thinking about throwing a design on here. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get to that point. But I think Luis is going to be a very, very happy camper with this VR6. The next time you guys see this, we're also going to be doing the next mod is the custom ignition coil system that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing 3 ignition coils. So here's your ignition coil right here, guys. like bolts on right here. We're going to be getting rid of this super expensive and very problematic system, and we're going to be going to an MSD, separate ignition coil system. So we're going to show you guys how to do that, and we're going to be running all the custom wiring all the way across. We're going to show you guys the bottom plate. We're going to actually make a custom plate for them. So be excited for that, because that's the next DIY coming, is for the custom ignition system that we're going to be making for this VR6. And I'm actually going to design my own custom plate for it, so we can have something really nice and very decorative that's going to be sitting on here, because the new ignition module will actually sit like this, and you'll see the 3 red MSD ignition coils, but we're going to build a custom bracket, so it's going to look really dope. And again, it's going to stand out way beyond the typical 12 valve stuff that you'll see out there. So stay tuned for that as well, guys. And that's going to be a new DIY strictly for Patreon members, by the way. The reason why this stream is going live is because the Patreon, they wanted me to do it live for everyone, so I did that for everybody. But the ignition coil module DIY is strictly for Patreon members, because I'm going to film that versus do it live. You can delete it, Tiny. You can delete the vacuum thing right here. And pretty much it's just, it messes with your low end torque on low gears. So if you're driving casually, you lose a lot of the torque because this is strictly for wide open throttle. Because if you have it on without it, your bottom end on the motor, like your low end torque isn't there. You'll have horsepower all day, but you don't create a decent amount of back pressure. So what this does, it kind of has a negative effect on the exhaust side, and allows for more restrictive but more torque. It's kind of weird in how it works. I read up on it a while ago, but it just allows the engine to create more torque, less horsepower on lower RPMs. Again, it's something we're going to keep. We're not going to delete it. There's a vacuum ball that goes underneath it. This thing right here bolts on somewhere down here magically with the bracket somewhere. I don't know. It bolts on somewhere on here, and this vacuum line goes into here, and it tees off to something else, and that's pretty much how it works. I don't know why. I think this ball of vacuum activates when it hits a certain type of amount of vacuum, and then this will do its job. The plunger will go up and down. I don't remember exactly if that was the case, but that's why it's here. But yeah. Yeah. And then we got the cam sensor right here. Cam sensor, and then back here there's a rear crank sensor. Somewhere back here. Forgot where it goes. It goes somewhere back here. So you have the cam, there's a crank back there. Knock sensor back there. Crank sensor down here. And then there's something else. There's another sensor somewhere around here. I forgot where. And that's it. That's all we need for sensors. And the coolant temp sensor stuff that goes right here. And that's it. We're going to try to keep wiring to a minimal, because we're going to be shaving the engine bay next to match this theme that's going on. So I want to delete as much as I can ahead of time before I put it in the car, and then start deleting stuff. Because that's where you start getting to the point where you're going to start damaging things. When you start removing stuff off the car, and no, we don't want that. So the sucky thing is you can't see the fuel rail. It sits underneath here, and then the fuel lines come this way, and then you go to where they need to go. Throttle body sits here. There's a couple vacuum lines that sit right above it. This is the breather valve. We're gonna change this. We're gonna make a custom catch can setup for that. Sucky thing with these guys, since you can't really since this isn't metal, we can't thread this in and make a nice braided setup. We're gonna have to kind of do a jerry rig setup and make our own braided catch can. Trying to think what else we can do, but yeah, that's all I can think of right now so far. If you guys have any more ideas, please hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, here on YouTube. Give me some ideas that or other stuff that we can do to the car as we're working on it. Again, we have to vote on it through Patreon first, but giving me some more help and ideas will help expand this build drastically for everyone, honestly. Tiny vacuum lines, I recommend 10 millimeter up to 12 millimeter vacuum lines. So if you're asking what diameter vacuum lines, yeah. Vent it through the hood. That's not a good idea, but it's an idea, matter of fact. But yeah, no, we're not going to delete this. The only thing I'm going to figure out is, since I don't have the original cover right here, this O-ring sits right here like that. I don't like how that sits, but then if you take it off, then you have this. Then it looks kind of goofy. Like, that looks even worse. So this is going to stay here, because what this is meant is so it can have a seal for the original engine cover. But I don't think we're going to have the original engine cover on here anymore. The one I have is beyond repair. It's pretty damaged. So it really sucks, because I really like the original cover. It really dresses up the engine bay drastically. I'm thinking, since I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mounting holes, maybe I can design just a metal plate that sits like right here, right above it, and you can see the wires through it, and maybe like a big old VR6 emblem right there. That'd be dope. Oh, that would be dope. Haha. I just came across a cool idea, and I like it. I like it. So, how this sits right here, a big old metal plate that has risers on it, so it sits kind of right above here. I think if we can get a metal plate to kind of follow this S-curve right here, but up high, and then right here we'll just have a big old VR6 cutout or something cool cut out above it. That way it's an engine cover, but more of a dress-up cover. Maybe we can have it go all the way over here, bend it, and come over and have it cover this whole portion right here like this. That would be freaking dope. I like that idea. Ah, makes sense, Luis. Definitely makes sense. Yeah, Tiny, get both 10 millimeter and 12 millimeter vacuum lines. Correct. I always over purchase vacuum line. If I'm gonna get it in silicone, I always get it in like 5 to 10 feet options. If I can get it in 10 feet pretty cheap, I'll buy 10 feet of everything pretty much. I always keep like random sizes in stock just because I know I'm gonna use them. So yeah, I say 5 to 10 feet since it's so cheap. You're probably gonna spend 10 to 12 bucks per cut of silicone hose or RTV hose, whatever they call it now. it looks so good. Looks so good. Just so happy that this came out so good. Yeah, for your Mark IV, yeah, you're not going to be using a lot of it. But yeah, definitely agree. Luis, I hope you're happy, buddy. I hope you're happy because I am super happy for you. Spark plugs came in today too, so I'm going to take care of that later. We got to get the exhaust manifolds mounted. Yeah, we got to get a new bolt here for the crank. You can't reuse the crank bolts. And we'll see what else we need down the road. But I don't know what else to say, guys. If you guys want to chat, we can chat for a little bit. Or you guys want to call it a night. It's up to you guys. You guys want to chat some more, or you guys want to call it a night? I mean, we've been on for an hour and 40 minutes. Ben Wall, which build, man? We just finished this one right now. We just did all the accessories and the intake manifold just to give you guys a rundown on how it works. We didn't actually install everything because you can't really install everything until it's actually in the car. There's some parts that you got to do prior because you don't want to lift this up with a chain going across it and just damage anything that's on here. The manifold you want to install when the engine's already in the car. There's some other stuff you want to do, but that's when the car engine's in there. We're going to show you guys all that process as well because it's pretty sketchy. But besides that, though, doing good. Yeah, I think everybody's going to call it a night. I think it's a good time to call it a night. We did good tonight. I think we're good. So, as always, guys. Boop. There we are. Oh man. Here we go. That's me. Thank you for tuning in for tonight's live session on how to do some of the simple stuff on here. The final bits of the VR6. I'm excited. I hope you guys are because next week we're going to get the motor mounts put on. We're going to get a clutch in here with the flywheel. We're going to get the transmission all painted up and all nice and purty. We're going to match everything. So everything's going to be all one solid piece. And then we're going to shave the engine bay. We're going to color match the engine bay to glossy or satin black is the actual color that we're working with right now. So the engine bay is going to be all satin black. The car itself is going to be orange. We're going to be doing fender flares on the car. We're going to do wider stance wheels. We're probably going to do 17s. I don't think we're going to do 18-inch wheels on this car. I think 17s would be the best, especially because I can get 17s extra wide and extra light for track use. We're trying to figure out what type of seats we're going to put in this car and rails, plus a half cage. And that's it. Once that's all done, we're going to use this engine for the break-in procedure to show you guys the whole entire process. Once this engine makes its way home back to Luis's house, we have another VR6 right over here that we are going to build for high compression and for performance. We're not going to go supercharged or turbo. We're literally just going to build a high compression, high output engine. It's not going to make a lot of horsepower. We're looking about 220 to 230 horses, but what it's going to do, it's going to rev like hell. We want this thing to rev up to 10,000 RPMs if possible, 8,000 if we can. I want it to rev to high hell, because on tracks, you know, you're going to be going and you want to get out of a turn as fast as possible. And I believe that if we do a nice, just rev happy, 200 plus horsepower engine, and number one, that'll keep the transmission safe. We won't have to do anything much to the transmission besides throwing a diff. Clutch and flywheel combination won't be very much drastic or cheaper or expensive. We don't have to do a crazy combination on that. On top of that, we don't have to do a lot of stuff on there besides cooling. Since it is a VR6, they tend to have 2 water pumps and 2 radiators. So there's 4 things we got to work with, and we're taking 2 of them out of the picture. We're gonna have 1 water pump and 1 radiator. So we have to really consider our cooling system drastically. I'm also going to invest in an oil cooler, because I think an oil cooler will make things a lot safer for us for heavy driving. We're going to learn how to figure out brake rotor and pad combinations. We are going bigger brakes on the front and slightly bigger brakes in the rear. And that's it. That's pretty much the entirety of this car build as we work with it, and month to month with Patreon members. If you guys are following our live streams and our channel, if you guys don't know what Patreon is, go to patreon.com, and in the search engine type in PincheAls Garage. Right there, it'll teach you everything you need to know about what we're doing here at PincheAls Garage, and how this entire VR6 project is actually funded by a group of members. Every member chips in a certain amount of money per month, and every month we buy new parts for this build and for this car in general. Everything that's engine aspect right now for this car has not been touched by Patreon members' money. It's actually only been Luis's money. Anything that is Patreon based is how we're doing everything cosmetically right now, because Luis right now is investing in his engine for everybody to learn from it. So instead of giving thanks to me, guys, give thanks to Patreon members and to Luis especially. Everybody obviously gets equal respect and, again, help and everything, but Luis right now is the guy to give the big thumbs up, because he's the one that funded the entire engine build right now currently. And once we're done with the engine, I'm going to actually personally give the engine back to him, because it's his, it's not mine. And we're going to be working on the next motor for Patreons. And when that's all said and done, and we break in the engine, we break the living crap out of it and drive the crud out of it, one lucky Patreon member is going to take that car home with them. Period. There's no raffle. There's no, anything. It's a 1 in up to, like, I think right now we're at 28 members, so 1 in 28 chance to win the car. Now, if you're in the U.S. and Canada, I will personally drive the car to you or tow it to you, however you guys want it there. If you're out of the country, like say overseas, we'll figure it out together and we'll ship that car to you guys. I don't care. The whole point of this is to learn from everything and have fun while we're doing it. That's all that matters to me. I don't care what happens, I don't care who wins it. All I'm doing is that you guys take a lot from it and learn from what we're doing. Whether or not if it's right or wrong, that's up to you guys to decide. I do the best I can to follow a Bentley manual and follow my online resources, and a lot of my friends who are actual automotive technicians and work at VW dealerships, and they teach me a lot of that I know currently. Especially Ray. Thanks again. If you're watching, Ray, thank you, buddy. Much love. A lot of stuff is actually, trial and error for me. But when it comes to engine building, I follow the book to a T, and I don't go around that, guys. I live and breathe the Bentley manual when it comes to these engines, because it's fact, and it works. The 3 cars that we're using with all my motors that I built, not a single flaw on them. Ian's engine passed 3,000 mile mark with flying colors. And now he's got Uncle Sam's paycheck coming, and he's going to do a big turbo finally. He's going away for that little tiny baby KO4. So we're going to show you guys how to do a big turbo build from a KO4 build. And we're actually going to have a whole DIY section for that coming up soon. So you guys can learn from a guy who's going from KO4 to big turbo. and do's and don'ts for that, guys. It's very, very important about that. Let's see. Then that's it. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And have a wonderful night. Peace out. And as always, if you see another dubber on the road, give him a thumbs up. Deuces. Respect one another, please. And as always, here at PincheAls Garage, we're going to break, we're going to fix, and we're going to repeat. Peace out and have a wonderful night. Hey, Pasky, late. Later, guys.